respectfully disagree.
You disagree?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say that? Because I feel like
that could be perception. That could be your, perception that because, someone looks a certain way, and I've been getting that like, oh, things are easier for you because you look a certain way.
I'm not saying things are easier for you. I'm just saying y'all have a lot more access to different stuff because you have a pretty face. Compared, all right,
but on the other hand, as a man, you have access to a lot more high-level positions. You be taken a lot more seriously. When I go into a job interview, I have to do this much more.
That's true.
To get the same job as a man, and I'm totally okay with it. So
I think overall, I don't think so, because men have a lot more. They have their fingers in everything. A lot more opportunities than women. Women are still catching up. That's where I see it. Is that there's nothing done extra to put men in the position. Like we already have
the position,
the platform. You know what I'm saying? And women are catching up. So while they're catching up, they're given more opportunities to catch up, which they didn't have. But we've already had every opportunity to have. And just overall, like, I mean, every woman ain't pretty. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But it don't matter how a man look. A man is a man, and he's still gonna get that upper hand over.
Respect.
You know what I'm saying? Just because, like she said, stepping in the fucking room, like women are gonna get treated a certain way. Like, cause think about a woman working in a male-dominated industry. You know what I'm saying? Like how much more she gonna have to work harder to get a position and to earn the respect of other men in the same industries. It's just different, bro.
I'm thinking of it like when I said what I said, I was thinking of it like let's say if a woman got pulled over by a police officer, right? She's more likely to get away with a warning for a speeding ticket, and then like a man will get, ran down or whatever.
But do you think it's because the police officer is more likely to be a male than a female?
Well,
because if
that's true.
A woman got pulled over by another woman, do you still think that that's true? Or do you think that that's more true because it's a male pulling over a female, because that's more likely because there's more male officers than female officers?
There is a lot more male officers than female officers, but at the same time, I feel like if a female officer were to pull over a male over a female, I feel like she would be more, she would probably be more I'm not gonna say disrespectful, but she would probably be doing a lot more to find something wrong with the male, like something illegal that the male has done.
I was gonna say, what makes you think that?
Just because of I just feel like there's a stigma against men in America than there is with women doing illegal things.
Well, most men commit more crimes, but that ain't got nothing to do with women getting more rights. Men have put that stigma on them by doing it with it. And you gotta think about it, if a woman's pulling a man over, like, she gotta think about her safety, this man being larger than her, being more powerful than her, all that stuff. Like, it could become physical. Like, she gotta be a lot more on edge. Like, who's gonna be more complacent in an interaction like that? A man pulling over a man, or a woman pulling over a man? Who's gonna be more on edge, just going into that, thinking they're doing something wrong? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be a lot more on edge to fucking react to something.
I see what you're saying.
So, I don't think that pretty face. I see what you're saying, but I think that just
Do you think pretty girl privilege is a thing now?
Yeah, I think pretty girls can get their way out of certain situations, but I think it only encompasses a small percentage of what really important. Okay. Like things that really matter. I don't think the way somebody looks is going to have that much.
Like you might get a free drink, you might get into a spot for free. You might
they do have a study of like
free clothes.
No, they do have a study of like, but it's not just pretty girls. It's just attractive people. Like when they're about to, they have a thing where people are getting, convicted and they're getting their.
Oh yeah, we watched that.
Yeah, they're getting their sentence, and all the attractive people got like a quarter amount of the time that the ugly people did. No matter if they were a woman or a man. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's being attractive in general.
It is a thing, though.
Alright. That was not no disrespect against you personally.
No. I didn't feel disrespected at all.
I was just saying, like, I definitely feel
I like to see your point of view because you are like the younger generation. So it's kind of cool to see because we watch stuff like this all the time. So it's kind of cool to see your perspective.
When it comes to things like affirmative action, and there are certain roles that traditionally men and women have been able to serve in, and now women can basically.
When I said the women catching up to men thing, like for the government positions, right? They had this vacancy for customs, female only. Mm-hmm. Like they were only hiring females, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's not. I don't think that's an extra right or extra opportunity given to females. It just
wasn't a lot of females in there. So
you know what I'm saying? But if they did,
and if you need to search another woman, right?
If they did man only, imagine how much type of fucking bullshit would come from that. You know what I'm saying? But no one's gonna blink an eye if it's female only because
they already
they're already behind because of historical events. So they gotta give all that shit to catch them back up.
Okay, that's a good point.
Do all of those things, right? Because we've had such a strong advocacy for equal representation in the workplace. Whereas, for example, you'll never find a man as a midwife nurse, and I don't think it's appropriate. That's why there are those differences.
Women in like the most important parts of society have an advantage. There's a lot of positions that men simply aren't getting hired at anymore because of the fact that they're a man. And it's not just in the workforce, it's also, I would say, it's a lot easier for a woman to find a relationship, even if she, says finding the right guy is so hard. It really isn't. But sometimes for a lot of guys, finding a girl at all is hard.
He's only going off of his experience.
If I have to consider what I wear before stepping out the house, because I don't want to draw some type of attention, I don't know how many other men have to consider, is this outfit going to be deemed safe for me? Any situation that I have experienced where I physically felt endangered simply because I don't want to give my number out. It's part of that entitlement for men. You're not entitled a conversation with me. You're not entitled to my number.
That aside, it's like, are you going to
who said that they feel
make
entitled?
One example of the entitlement of men when it comes to asking for your number be the all-encompassing thing that all men have a problem when it comes to approaching women?
Well, firstly, it's not just an example. It's not necessarily all men. I don't dislike men. I love sports, I play video games, I have bros, I hang out with dudes. We just want men to realize that if you have friends that are having locker room talk, as a man, as an ally, please say something to your friends.
Do you think repressing that is really the solution here, though? If it's in a healthy male space...
There's nothing I don't think that's healthy. I think it's toxic in itself.
I mean, if you're making jokes and you're doing all of that...
Jokes that are harmful jokes are not healthy because they just lead to people normalizing things. People always say, oh, it's just a joke. But when someone else hears it, they don't realize how that resonates. And again, how that turns into violence. Like, this is not an isolated situation. I'm only thinking of 3 off the top of my head because if I think of too many, I'm gonna spiral.
So what's the alternative? Men shouldn't talk about these things.
No, I think men can have a healthy dialogue. I don't think men have to be toxic in order to have a conversation. I know plenty of men that are able to have conversations about healthy, productive things, just like women are.
What are they even talking about?
The women are saying that men shouldn't have locker room talk. And
women have locker room talk.
Exactly, and they're calling men locker room talk toxic.
Women do that more than men do. They call each other. Women get together and literally gossip or whatever, talk about men. So
and then she's saying that she knows men and like their toxic talk. Like I don't know what makes her think that like she knows what the fuck they're talking about. And then the black girl was like taking that toxic talk into like 3
I have 3
that she went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does she know that all what she went through came from toxic talk? You know what I'm saying?
And they don't even know what the talk is. So how do we know that it's toxic? They're talking about locker room. Locker room talk is gonna harm someone.
You can't put control over anything anybody fucking says. If that's the case, then don't listen to the news you listen to. Don't watch the movies you watch. Don't fucking listen. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hear that type of shit from somewhere.
Well, it's not obviously something that I have personal experience with, but only 1% of all people on the death row are women in this country. So when women and men commit identical crimes, women are much more likely to, for example, escape the death penalty. And that's just plain sex-based discrimination.
That I agree on.
That's true. Look, I'm thinking about basic needs like around the globe, the women who don't even have like proper like sanitary like products.
I mean, I have to agree. Just small things like a tax on a box of tampons. Do you think I choose to do this monthly? No, trust me.
Are you fucking serious?
There's tax on
Are
everything.
you serious? Come on, y'all.
There's
Come
tax
on, y'all.
on everything.
Come on, y'all. Don't do this to us women.
There's tax on everything.
We're not gonna sit here and cry over a tax on the box of tampons. That's not what we're gonna discuss when we're discussing a topic like masculinity, feminism. Like we talk about a tax on tampons.
Just don't buy tampons.
Oh my god. Tax on everything. Welcome to America.
So why should I have to pay taxes? And this is a medical necessity.
We're just like dismissed. A lot of us.
There's no such thing as there's medical necessities, but everything medical needs to be paid for, regardless of what the fuck it is.
Everything gets taxed, regardless.
Everything's fucking taxed. What the hell is she talking about?
Why do they always sound so stupid?
They sound weak.
Especially women of color, the women across the board are just treated a lot less equally.
Never.
I'd say that I'm an advocate for what I believe the role that men play in society. I believe that their views should be expressed openly, that they should be given a platform to do so, and I believed in men unapologetically and unashamedly being men as we were created.
I think in my heart that there are things that men are entitled to. I am all about human rights, and I do consider the rights of every human. But every time I hear of a men's rights activist, I hear anger and I hear very illogical reasoning, and it just boils my blood because it's a setback for all of us.
I feel
She only talk about herself.
Talk about herself.
my values.
I think a lot of times when a movement is created, the other side thinks that they're being attacked or think that it's some like attempt at erasure. That's not what feminism is about at all. What do you need a whole men's rights activism movement for? I'm sincerely confused.
Well, I mean, like, I will advocate for positive masculinity and what men should represent and healthy outlets for men. Like, I still think the Boy Scouts should be exclusively the Boy Scouts, for example, one of those things. Where I would like to think that we could get some common ground is when it comes to the clear biases that are in the court system, especially in the marriage and family court system, right? And right there is what I would advocate for when it comes to men's rights.
The things that stand valid, like that I'm hearing from y'all that are like valid to me, come from a place of like, I am treated like unfairly by the system. Versus a lot of the things women are saying, it's also America and the system as well, but a lot of it is like harm from men.
How and where?
How and where what?
Where's this harm from men coming from?
Okay, it started when I was young. I'm not going to talk too long. I was 16, got a bottle thrown at me because I told a boy no. It started when I was in a club, a boy touched me. I said no, he kept touching me. It got to the point he got violent. It gets to the point that the only reason why a man decided to stop touching me in the bookstore I talked about earlier is because he realized my husband was not too far away. And he said, sorry bro, never said sorry to me. That's why, and that's off the top of my head. This is why I get upset, because I'm like, I'm here to talk about like how you feel, but when you just dismiss the fact that women actually have experiences, that's when it seems like it's about more than your rights. It seems like it's about your ego. And that's where I get pissed off. Because how dare you tell another human being that their experiences, what they're telling you right in front of your face, is not valid.
I didn't say they were invalid, I said how and why. I'm trying to understand.
How and why? Because it happened. It happened many times. It happened yesterday. It happened the day before.
Okay, I think some of the things that you guys are touching on, such as the court system and gender roles, are a subject of patriarchy, and that's part of what women are trying to dismantle, is those traditional gender roles.
Are there any feminist organizations that have done anything, for example, to challenge bias against men and fathers in the family court system?
Absolutely.
Can you please give me like a list of feminist advocacy organizations that have engaged in any meaningful advocacy to address those issues? Because there are actually none.
Okay. I know that you came with your little research or whatever. I didn't come with a list of like feminist organizations, but I know actively that there are women's organizations that are trying to dismantle those inequalities.
Just one name, just one
Again, I
organization.
didn't come with a list, my dude.
There are no such organizations.
In what ways are men's rights at risk?
I think there has been significant progress over the last decade or so, especially in the legal field. But I think there are still
when this first came out, the whole men's right activist shit kind of threw me off because I don't think men need right activists. Off top, like just
because humans have to have.
No, my initial reaction just because men have so much power. You know what I'm saying? Like, why do they need their rights to be, you know what I'm saying, promoted or whatever? But after like watching this shit and seeing the shit that I've seen, I understand it because like the whole feminist movement is like trying to make equal the gender role thing out, taking gender roles away. Like they don't want to be treated as women, they don't want us to be treated as men. I feel like it's gonna make the man soft. So I would want to be a fucking men's right activist to like keep that from happening, like to make a man not, you know, be scared to fucking be a man.
I want to be a man's right activist. I don't want no soft.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and at the same time, it's vice versa too. Like there's women out there that are afraid of the feedback they're gonna get, or the backlash they're gonna get for wanting to be a woman. Like, what's wrong with me wanting to be, you know what I'm saying, feel safe with my man around, and me being protected, and
like now I'm not a feminist. Now I'm not for women.
You know
not true.
Okay,
not true. I want a man to be a man. I would literally be a man's right activist because I do agree with all those things, and I do agree with gender roles. There should be gender roles.
And if there's men that don't want to be that man's man, then that's okay. That's their agenda. But don't make us
a specific viewpoint broad.
Yeah, trying to generalize all men to not want to fucking be that gender role. Because for the
Asian guy said it perfect.
Yeah.
He really said it good.
Yeah.
Significant disparities that need to be addressed, such as poor health conditions, bias against men in the criminal justice system, bias against men in family courts, and bias against men in the educational system, especially in colleges.
Men and women should be allies.
Why shouldn't they?
Men, unfortunately, many of them don't want to even have this open dialogue that we're showing right now. We need men to help be allies, to help speak to other men.
It strikes me like the way you phrase this, you almost want men to say certain things that you want them to say, as opposed to maybe actually listening to what they're saying.
What certain things would I want to
just
hear?
kind of like men being allies, men talking to other men, etc. I'm completely okay with that, but I'm not going to repeat like feminist talking points to other men.
We all believe different things. We may be under the label of men's rights activists, but for example, I'm probably the most traditionalist person here. I think we should be allies, but maybe us being allies in a patriarchy wouldn't be so bad. You know, us going back to the past wouldn't be so bad. It would probably be a lot happier if we were, you know, getting married and staying married and having kids and, you know, going to church and all that la-di-da-di-da.
Sounds like
Well,
a retard.
speaking of the three of you, I feel like you're each coming from different perspectives. So it's hard to, you know, again, just like our perspectives, it's hard to generalize. So to me, I feel like there are certain things that, even though we're not fully agreeing on it, things may get lost in translation, our verbiage may not be 100% correct, that we could at least agree on.
Can I ask one question?
He's a
What would
smart
you
motherfucker.
envision would be the ideal man with the end goal of feminism as far as educating men or working to dismantle whatever patriarchy is? Like, what does that man look like?
It starts with childhood. We have to teach children as well as girls, because we're also taught, because of toxic masculinity, what a man should be as well.
I think that we just need to hold men accountable. In order to kind of make progress, we need help from people that will listen. Because let's be real, when we express our concerns, a lot of men refuse to listen, but they would be more likely to listen to another man.
Do you also feel like you have an ethical obligation to challenge other women or other feminists when, for example, they deny that men face discrimination?
When it comes to things like, oh, men can't be abused, I've had this conversation with another woman, and it's the idea that just because a man may be physically stronger than us does not mean they cannot be abused. And because of that, again, fairness, women need to be held accountable as well. I want to understand.
What was I say?
I don't understand why he asked a pretty, like, what for a feminist? What does it look like?
They couldn't answer the
what
question.
should men do?
They couldn't answer the fucking question. But what's interesting to me is that, like, I would want to ask them, like, how much of the men population do they think fall within the shit they don't like? Because if it's this much of a problem for them to speak out, then they must think like every man acts this way. And I can't even think of a handful of men that will fall within this toxic masculinity type of fucking category. You know what I'm saying? Like what they have problems with does not happen that often.
I mean, as a woman that goes in women's circles and I hear women talking about men, there is like so much of that us versus them. And I hate hearing that. Like, all men are this, or men are, you know, they don't listen, or they're just, there's whatever. And it's like, why does it have to be such a divide? Because not all men are like that.
Yeah. I think like if it's kind of like you're only gonna pay attention to the shit that's
bothering you. Yeah.
Kind of like the whole YouTube shit. Like fucking 95% should be positive. The 5% is negative, which what really impacts you. So you're only gonna fucking focus on the shit that's fucking terrible.
But like it's like the mentality of like I feel like most women that I've come across, it's a us versus them. So like that last question, should men and women be allies? We need one another. Like we're opposites attract. We complement each other. And if your mentality is us versus them, of course you're going to focus on the negative instead of doing what you should do, which is ask questions to understand. If you're a woman, you should read Queen's Code.
I don't know. I don't have these conversations about like bashing women and shit. Never really have. Like we don't in locker room talk, like everybody talking about like typical locker room talk. There's nothing like no us versus them type of shit. Yeah. It's never been like that.
It's not no men in the locker room talking about, ooh, like I'm finna be a predator. That's what I got on my list.
Like yeah, women ain't shit. You know I'm the fucking superior.
And that's what they make it seem like.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even like that. Most of the time we glorifying y'all.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
And the worst part, that's their perception in their mind.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I was wondering, like, how much of men do they feel like fall within what they think men are? It must be like all of them for them to feel that strongly about it. Yeah. Like bad shit happens all the time. Like you're gonna have rapists, you're gonna have motherfuckers that do dumb shit, but that's such a small percentage of what men are, and vice versa. Like women do fucked up shit to men too, but it shouldn't be like all men are this way and all women are this way. It's fucking crazy.
We're different, and that's okay.
I just feel like a lot of women, or I'm not even gonna just generalize women. I'm gonna say a lot of people out here have been hurt. You know what I'm saying? And they have open wounds that they have not healed from.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying? Yep. So that just causes them to have like a totally
they can't think
broad perspective, because if they dealt with that from one person, they're not gonna trust nobody else after that, and they're gonna assume that everybody gonna do them the same way that it was done in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And it's not the case, and it's unfair to a lot of the guys. A lot of the good guys that's out here that's trying to do right by women. There's a lot of good women out here that's trying to do right by these men, but they're just hurting and they haven't healed from a lot of these situations that they've been through. You know what I'm saying?
Bars. Yep. Bars. Okay, country.
Yep. Exactly what it is, bro.
That's dope.
They can't get out their own way, man. Yep. Can't get out their own way.
That's, like I said, them having this perception is just their own insecurities, their own stories and conscious and things they're telling themselves.
Yeah, get out their head.
Yeah, for
real. Get in your head, you're dead.
Yep.
Their viewpoint. As a woman and a woman of color, I know how it feels to be disenfranchised. So I want to understand why they feel the need to have a men's right movement.
I feel empathy for the other side.
I step forward.
I don't think there's ever a time in my life where a person says they're hurting and I don't at least try to listen or understand. My only thing is that I want the same in return. So when I'm genuinely saying I'm hurting or I've been through something, and it's not just a personal experience, because I actively do this work and surround myself with women saying I've been hurt by a man before. I get that you have stories, but I mean, that's actually my question. I haven't heard y'all stories. Like, I've sat up here and said I have 3 on the top of my head.
That shouldn't even come up. Their stories shouldn't even come up.
When we're talking about.
And also, she surrounded herself by women that have been hurt by men.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
They all just sit there and talk about their hurt and then agree and group think. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we all believe this.
Which
is
is
our
only cementing their image beliefs of further. Men. Yeah. Exactly. But if she was surrounding herself with women that have been hurt and women that have been done good by men, you know what I'm saying, or single women, taking women, she wouldn't have. I feel like she wouldn't have a stronger perspective that she has right now, bro.
Right.
That's good. That's a good point. Right? Like if she hung out with enough women that are in happy marriages where their men are amazing.
Yep.
She's not going to be able. Yeah, because it's hard.
Like all men think that. All men are that way.
Okay, she's just surrounding herself by these negative thoughts of men.
Yeah, she's too
confirmation bias.
She's too impacted by what
she believes that. She surrounds by that. She hears it, makes her believe it a little bit more, puts another leg under that table.
But that's just so crazy to me. No, I mean, I don't know. Despite of what negative things I've been to, you can't make that. You can't cast that way when the whole world thinking that everybody moves that way. Like it's just like common sense would make you choose otherwise. Like. She's letting her emotion take over her rational thinking.
Ours, yes.
About 30 plus probably. And I haven't heard y'all say, this is what happened to me.
I don't think that I'll ever invalidate a woman's feelings when she says, hey, I've been abused or whatnot. I don't think any of us here are rightfully saying that. But I think what's dangerous is when emotional testimony that may not always be what it is gets, creates bias, right?
Okay, I feel empathy for women being lost, being misguided. Look,
he bothered me.
He said lost and misguided.
I don't know. You can go.
Do you have any bit of empathy for anything we said up here?
Yes, I really do feel empathy for.
Why was that so hard to say? Like for the stuff that we said, do you have any bit of empathy for the stories I said up here?
Yeah,
I just want to know.
I do.
Like I'm not even trying to be hostile. I just genuinely want to know.
Yeah, I just think that like a lot of the problems that have happened in your life are because society is not patriarchal. It's not traditional. It's we're gone. We're lost. We're in a fallen state, right?
There is a change of guard, not necessarily a change of guard, but things are evolving. Things are changing, and I feel like a lot of men speak from a viewpoint almost of fear. A lot of men are having a hard time grasping that and feeling comfortable with it.
I do feel empathy for your personal experience, but I cannot sympathize with your ideological position because that ideological position is built on a fallacy, and that fallacy is actually causing very real consequences for men as a class in this country. So I understand that you are here with us as kind of the good feminist, so to speak, that you feel empathy for men, and I believe you, but I do not believe your movement, and I do not believe your ideology.
Alright, we'll leave it at that.
Stalemate.
I'm
sweating.
You see how he went to go try to get out?
You are very articulate.
Oh, thank you.
So are you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. That was interesting. John, what do you think it means to disagree?
Sleepies, you out now?
I think when you disagree, it's important to acknowledge.
That was long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Just reaffirm that shit ain't going nowhere. They need to have motherfuckers like us up that motherfucking line, for real. They need to have feminist men and masculine women.
Am I a masculine man?
But I'm just saying, this cause I'm over here vouching for fucking women. We both vouching for women, you vouching for men. You know what I'm saying? Like
you have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if it makes sense, it makes sense. 2 + 2 = what, babe?
Not 5.
Facts. But anyway, I don't feel like ending it. That was cool. Say something, Kendrick. You ended.
Yeah, Kendrick.
Say something wise.
Say something wise for peeps.
Bars.
Goddamn. y'all need to stop generalizing y'all's personal experiences with the broad general public. You know what I'm saying? Because just because you went through something does not mean that I and Laura and Stevie went through the same thing.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, you just need to take a couple steps back.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath. And just be more open-minded, bro. That's
you gotta heal, man. You gotta heal.
Yeah.
You can't bring that fucking negative energy into life. Gotta heal from that, grow from it, and get a better perspective on life.
You knew better, you do better.
Facts, man. You keep doing the same shit you're doing before, you can find yourself in the same situation.
Insanity,
keep believing that,
my friend.
Men ain't shit. Guess what? You're gonna keep
Getting
getting men
shit,
that ain't shit.
Yeah.
If you believe that men are good, you're gonna find good men.
Vice versa too.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, yeah, we out.
It's a wrap.
It's a good season. Bro, it's midnight.